by John D. Marshall, second by Carol Lawrence. Be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session of Council at 7:13 p.m. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That carried. Thank you. Mark, you know that only those matters that were in the closed session are the matters that were discussed. Public meeting, we have none this evening. Listed. Consent agenda. I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be resolved that items A1 to C2 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted. And further, that authorization be given for actions to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Is there any questions or comments on the consent? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And that should bring us down to communications from Mayor and Council. Any council members have any communications that they want to share with us at this time? Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to report on Friday. I attended the announcement at Georgian College Owen Sound campus on behalf of West Grey, representing West Grey of the Student Administrative Council, who pledged $7.2 million over the next 10 years towards the Power of Education campaign. And it's the largest donation that's ever been made to Georgian College. And it's they had collaborated with the students in the three campuses, Aurelia, Owen Sound, and Barrie, as to what the money will be spent on. And it's to improve life, I guess, for the students at the colleges. So it was pretty exciting. And also what was kind of nice, I found out that the principal of the Owen Sound campus happens to be a West Grey lady.
Yes.
Yeah, Marion Lucas, is that the lead? Lives in Benton. Yeah, that was kind of nice.
It was. And the overall principal, I'll say, her son lives in Benton. So,
oh, there you go.
I don't know.
You mean Mary Lynn Westmore?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. It's, lives in Benton as well, too, and works for the county. That's how I know about that connection.
There was just, there's MPP Bill Walker and MP Larry Miller, he and Roddy, Mayor Owen Sound, and myself, plus the Georgian people. But I must say, as a former Board of Governors member and Vice Chair of the Board, it was kind of a pleasure to look back and see what they're doing.
A lot of good things happening there. I sent my regrets as board, and I couldn't get there. I had to deal with a few things that ran over here, and didn't think I was going to get there, so I did not get there. But a lot of great things, especially around the marine simulator and the emergency and the support that the county is putting towards that, and the expansion, I think is going to be put that Owen Sound campus at Georgian College not just on the map here in Grey County as a place for post-secondary education, but certainly for national and international individuals that are coming to be certified and upgraded for that marine experience that they have to have. So
I would like to say there's been many improvements to that Sound campus since I was on the Board of Governors. I almost couldn't find my way around, quite honestly. There's been so many changes and so many improvements. It's great. Yeah.
Upgrades. Very good. Anything else? I would like to say that the Newstead firemen, again, and I'm not sure how many years it is. It's not quite as much as Lobster Fest in Newstead, but they had their fireman's chicken dinner last night in Newstead, put on by the firemen. Again, was they were about the same number. They were down maybe a couple, so that put them just under 500 meals that they served this year. I another very good meal and participation. So it's always the same time. If anybody wants to get out, phone any of the Newstead firemen next year, the second weekend of March, and everything is barbecued and prepared on site by the Newstead firemen and their spouses. I've got to say that the spouses help with an awful lot too. Just would like to say that today, part of the reason I apologize for not having a tie on, I feel almost naked sitting here. It's the first council meeting that I've sat at that I haven't had a tie on, and I got up this morning and okay, I got to come to the office and do a few things, and I was meeting with an individual, but I thought, okay, that's fine, I'll get home and I'll be able to get changed and get back here and have my green tie. Not quite as audacious as Councillor Hutchison's tie, but I was going to put on a green tie. But I had the great experience of showing a doctor from Dominican Republic that today had him around to the hospital, to the medical clinic. Met an individual in the audience when we were going for lunch at the Country Corner, and showed him around. And by the time that ended up, time really flew. And so no, I still haven't made it home to get a tie, and I forgot to bring one with me. So that's my apologies. But the individual is very, very interested in coming to Canada, to Ontario, but more so to Grey County. This is what he really wants. He said that when he left Dominican on Friday, it was 34 degrees and he said that 7 degrees when he came into Toronto was a little burr. I said, well, I was on vacation in Jamaica in February, and I left Jamaica and it was 32, and I come back into Toronto and it was minus 32. So I got no sympathy for you at a 30-degree difference, because I was at a 60-degree difference. But very good experience, so I hope that we see some positive outcome from that coming forward. Very good. If there's no other comments from council, on communications, then we'll get down. We have a couple of delegations tonight. I'm trying my best, Tim, to get back on to the timelines here, but we have a update and program information from Tim Dick and Diane Jones that are going to. So that leaves Larry and Ken in the spotlight, because it is a PowerPoint presentation there. And yes, one thing before we go any further, we have been having some trouble with our sound system here. So it's not going to get any better. We're still working on that. So Adam back there, you'll be able to do your work on using the microphones from the cameras, and hopefully everybody out there that's watching it on the website will be able to pick up our voices. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, Diane.
Thanks very much for joining us. I'll just take the opportunity to introduce myself, Tim, since I've had the opportunity to speak to you before. And since you are a new council, we wanted to, and we have some really exciting, or not, that's not the word, energetic new members of the library board. I wanted to just give you a slight orientation to what all the services we offer, and I'll turn it over to Diane. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure and a privilege to address you this evening. We'd like to just build our strong bridge of communication with the council, and we're quite fired up about just the new possibilities that are ahead for all four of our libraries in this new phase. And I'm encouraged because we brought this together. You've been busy, and I respect that you've just been meeting, and it seems like for a good portion of the day. And our library board members, we also met this afternoon. So I appreciate the good show coming out this evening, as well as the Friends of the Library coming out. So we're We're a strong, enthusiastic group. We put together a short PowerPoint. It's only 9 frames, but since a picture's worth 1,000 words, and libraries are full of even more pictures of words, we thought this would bring it to the point and be efficient. For first frame, yes, that is a birthday cake, and that was the 100-year birthday cake from 2012. So signifying that our Carnegie building here in the town of Durham is 103 years old and still serving the public, and that's quite notable. So, oh, and I also have to mention is we've got our chief librarian here, and that's Kim. So here, we're quite proud that we have 4 libraries running in our municipality. So we have Durham, Ayton, Neustadt, and Elmwood. And it's a lot, and it's busy, and we're serving quite a broad and diverse geographic base with these buildings. And most efficient of all is to mention our mission. Our library provides resources and services for lifelong learning and the enrichment of educational, social, and cultural experiences of our community. And this covers a broad patron base of ages, both from youth to seniors. And it is quite exciting. Libraries are essential to a community, and I've seen sort of a flicker of agreement from educators and such that I know on council. But they provide a lot. They provide a lot of resources, more so for families that may be challenged in their own resources. The libraries are a hub of activities for children and seniors, and well worth the sharing of resources. They're a very green facility. It was a comment at our meeting today that of the list of sort of 10 strong green resources, such as using a bicycle and hanging your laundry outside, libraries are a strong green resource that we can be proud of, because one book can be circulated multiple times, and if you give thought to that, they are very efficient, and not only cultural, but a meeting place for people. And we've hit you with stats, and I'd be willing to share statistics with you. And our librarian, our chief librarian is quite prudent in keeping statistics, and we learn a lot from them. But I'll limit questions to the end of the presentation, and we'll just move forward with that. Okay. But this is what we're really proud about, is just the variety of resources and that the facilities can offer, because libraries are more than books, and they are a source of children's programming, computer access, training, adult interest programming, and different accessible resources, DVDs. It's a community resource. And the library also serves very much as a West Grey ambassador. The number of tourists and people who are passing through stop at the library and ask questions when people, so that's sort of an additional reference service that our library staff are providing. I'm always teasing Kim about what her job description is, because it always seems to be stretching. And then of course also magazines and local newspapers, and as a repository for reference material in that way as well. We're very proud of the community partnerships that we have been building and continue to build. And in this day and age, the magic is in partnerships. And we network with our volunteers. And I'll come on and I'll sing the praises of the Friends of the Library further in this presentation. But we have really good working arrangement with the Youth Literacy Council. The Early Years Program comes in and shares resources and helps to disseminate resources with the Children's Library. Our seniors residences throughout the municipality, and I'm aware in Ayton as well. The Spoken Word Festival, the Art Gallery, and the school board makes use of the library as well. It's the source for the Teen Advisory Group for the whole region. The local archives are stored here. And also extension assistance has been made to the food bank from the Friends of the Library with a brilliant program this year. Master gardeners freely share their information. It's lots, and it's quite active. So, and the Friends of the Library have been responsible for some brilliant programs, and they also put money, their fundraising efforts put money back into the library. They bought computer tables. They did a brilliant project with the Christmas food hampers with the food bank, decorating baskets and serving books in there. They bought software for the children's department, and have provided training sessions for the genealogy. So it's quite rich and varied. And in all, we're as strong as our volunteer base. So I really commend my friends. We thought it would be prudent to tie this in with Westbury's own strategic plan, because we're quite pleased that we are working hand in hand. And so this is your most current, but I know you are working on the new one. But I can proudly say that of all your strategic priorities, the Westbury Public Libraries help to reinforce this, help you to deliver your mission statement and vision. Because we help, and in your goals, we helped with community engagement, youth initiatives, infrastructure enhancement. Now there's one that we're very interested in. Responsible economic growth, environmental stewardship, and quality service delivery. And when families are considering, just as the doctor couple that you were entertaining and introducing to the community today, Kevin, families will consider the quality of the library. They consider the whole fabric of the community, and it is the quality of the library that can be part of the checklist. I know realtors also consider that, so it is important. Okay. So we have been providing library services to our communities for over 100 years. That's incredible. It's phenomenal. And now it's time to bring our infrastructure into the new millennium. We are working hand in hand together to come to a good decision about the new building project. And I don't stand qualified to discuss that. Richard and others are on the building committee, but we're quite excited about the prospect of the updating the facility. And I also encourage and welcome councillors to come out to the library and for you to take an active part. We've recently updated, we have new digital library cards, and we'd like to ensure that you all have one of those. And they aren't activated yet, so Tim is going to distribute them.
If I might, Mr. Mayor, I'll take home for you.
Yeah, so it's always fun when you get to bring something home. So. And it's just our current newsletter.
Oh, he's taking.
Okay.
So this one doesn't gonna work anymore?
No, we're into the new digital.
Okay. All right.
Upgrade your technology.
Away from paper, I'm into plastic now.
So myself or other board members would be quite willing to field questions from you and, all right, or
Okay.
just take your applause.
Well, you're opening yourself up. You said you wanted them, so here they come. Deputy Mayor Bell, John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Diane. Excellent presentation. Team of the board, congratulations on your continued good work in the community, and we do thank you for it. Diane, either you or one of your board members could probably answer this question. Has there been any talks at the library board level, and there have been rumblings at both the county level, and it is possible in Bruce to have a county-wide library system? Would there be any, has there been any talks on that, or what is your position on that, or what would you like to say on that?
Or would
In-
Kim
in-
be
in-
the best to answer
Well,
that?
In 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
there was discussion about it, yes, and we did meet, Kim Priestman and myself went to the meeting at Bray County to discuss that issue, and they, Bray County polled us as librarians and boards to get our opinions on it, and there was some back and forth. Personally, I'm sort of on the fence about it. I could go either way, but other board members might, and Kim would know more about the details about. In the end, he decided, or Bray County decided that it was not something that they were going to pursue, as you know.
Yeah, it was the first one that went into the Bray County hopper, and unfortunately, Bray County turned it down.
All right, and if I might, Mr. Mayor, one.
Yeah, you got the floor, keep going.
Another
They
half.
only used a minute and a half. You're gonna use a second.
Another half a question. So, can you tell me, was there divided support? Was there some support for? Because we never really got, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really heard the numbers as to how much their support there really was for.
Just going based on the reaction in the room at the time, there were some municipalities that were pretty strong against it, others who were for it. On the whole, I would say the majority of the librarians were not in favor because, and I'm just speaking in majorities here, and maybe I shouldn't even say it because the reasons are probably varied, but board members were more open-minded, I think. But there was general agreement that sharing of resources would be a wonderful thing. There was some concern about loss of autonomy within one's own region to cater to the population that you live with. What other basic comments were there?
I think that's pretty well what it came down to. And again, as Kevin and I have talked about, it never went past the library boards and the librarians. So it was just, the 7 of us or 8 of us sitting together, and that was it.
Okay, thank you for that.
There is a point that I wanted to ensure that I made in this presentation. And as you can see by our show of strength and enthusiasm as well, we're not expecting the new library or renovation or such to rely just on the tax base or handout from the council. We have an enthusiastic plan, and there are key individuals in the community that will support this library project, and we will be responsible and take on a very enthusiastic fundraising effort for this new library project. So we want the councillors to be aware of that.
That's positive.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay.
And Carrie likes that too. Sitting next director of finance. Carol.
I just wonder if I get back to John's comment on county-wide, and one of the things when I was on the board that maybe rather than the county taking on a county library system would be that there's reciprocal agreements between the lower tiers, which, you know, it could be worked out. I think what you said, there's 4 on COLA or more than that now?
There's 3 of us on COHA and 2 more joining by the end of this year. So that
So-
will only leave 2 that aren't.
Yeah, so you're getting majorities. It would be possible. The county could perhaps put some funding forward to accommodate it, you know, that we could have reciprocal borrowing, but they wouldn't have ongoing costs, you know, to run a county library system. Because I do think we all run pretty good library systems within each of the lower tiers, but if we could have some reciprocal use, it would be great.
But we do need the facility to work from.
Councillor Hutchison.
I see on your display here that you have the use by West Grey. I'm just wondering, like, you have 4 libraries in West Grey. What does that look like in terms of numbers within the other libraries? And also, have you looked at a shared resource within West Grey? Like, have you looked at, say, 1 facility instead of 4? Have you talked about that?
Well, the 4 facilities are historic in their placement. We have to be open and come forward with the due diligence and the best managerial decisions that we can make while trying to serve a diverse population.
We're well within our requirements of the Libraries Act to serve. We have to have a 1 library per certain amount of geographic population, and we're well within, like, we're over the top with that. But we have considered it from time to time, especially at the time when we shared a library with the Normanby School, and we had our West Grey library within the Normanby School, and at that time we considered a bunch of different possibilities. One was to just close that branch, and at the time it was decided to move it into the Aiken building that it's in presently. Kim Priestman has thrown around some ideas about doing some feasibility studies or something like that. So that's another thing that the board is considering, just to have some help making some of those decisions. Some other councillors and board members might remember other times when we've discussed things,
And I guess it also is being overseen by the building inspector as well.
that's right.
So my
Go ahead.
other question along that you talked about shared resources. How much are shared resources now in terms of your collections, that type of thing? Are you doing much of that within West Bay?
Definitely, yes. We have rotating pools of facilities or materials, as well as all of our computer systems. And although because of our geographic boundaries, we do have 2 internet providers. And you can speak more to that.
We are West Grey libraries with 4 buildings.
Right.
So each building shares all of the resources, whether it's DVDs, large print, new fiction, they all rotate, as well as our teen collection. So each branch gets their own books purchased for them, but also the main ones are circulated between them. We're not an individual library, like Durham's not its own, we share with everybody else.
It does require, because we have 4 locations, open at the same time, or not all 4 of us. Are we open all?
There's 3 of them open on Tuesday and Fridays.
Right, so we do have to have at least 4 staff for those times. So it does increase our staff cost, obviously, and staff is the largest single expense.
Okay. Councillor Cotton, Beth?
Do the libraries provide books for the seniors in Rockwood? Like, is there an area in Rockwood where you provide books and change them off every so often? I know there's one in my father's in Hanover, and the seniors residence there, and the library comes in every, I can't say how often, but every 2-3 months, and changes the books up and puts them, probably the types of books that would be sold by the Friends of the Library when you buy those, but they're put in there and then picked up and maybe sold later. Does our libraries do that?
We don't do that at the moment. What we do is we have gone into Abbeyfield and Serenity, and we select books specifically to each person's interest and deliver once a month, and it's the Friends of the Library that have started doing that for us. And we have had a request from one patron so far in Rockwood, but Rockwood has its own library.
Oh, okay.
And we will start doing that after the illness in Rockwood has gone away. We're going to be going in probably this month and starting to help that person, and then we'll slowly see whether or not we have a need for us to go in.
Okay. Anything else?
You've been asking very good questions, and they're informed questions, so we appreciate your interest.
Well, it's not because budget is just over, but it may have had some effect on that. We looked at every program, certainly very heavily over the last month. So it's something that keeps going. And somebody did ask the question when I pulled out my paper card, when was the last time? Was that the Words Aloud Festival where I went? And no, I was in this year. I just didn't borrow a book this last year for Words Aloud Festival. It was 2 years ago that I borrowed a book for Words Aloud Festival.
It's free.
But,
that's what's, well, it's tax supported, but it's a fabulous resource.
absolutely it is. And it may be one of the most interesting points of people from outside the community, because we have that as individuals coming in. Certainly in Durham, I know from the park, Saugeen Conservation Park, Ayton and Newstead are the same. A lot of people that are coming up during the summer using their trailers, that they use the library.
That's right.
It's back and forth. So it's that more so than a lot of our services. That's where it's used considerably. And we thank you for that, because it's certainly tourism is one of the businesses. What adds more into those goals of what the library, it's not the total aspect of the goals on our strategic plan, but it's an important part of getting to the point of success on those.
And I think it speaks highly of our staff that if you look closely at those numbers that were up there before, dollars spent per citizen served, we have a really incredible proportion. If you compare us to other similar municipalities, we spend our money very, very wisely thanks to our great staff.
Very good. Carol?
May I pass a comment on doing this inquiry to myself, now that the board is all here, on the issue of the hours in Elmwood? I was asked again about that by a couple of people. And there was some discussion 1 year or 2 years ago of changing the Friday to the Thursday. So I just throw that out for you to consider, because they're still wondering what happened and if it's being considered, and if it's possible, would like a Thursday instead of a Friday. So I'll just leave that one for you.
Okay.
Pass it on.
Very good. Well, to the board, Tim, Diane, and the rest of the board members, and the friends of the library, thank you very much for giving us the update. Look forward to, and now that I've got my plastic card, look forward to really swiping it more.
We'll look forward to seeing you.
You hear that? Oh. I didn't hear it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have another delegation this evening, and Leah, I see that you're here, Zeppler. So I'm going to turn it over to you. The floor is yours.
Where do you want me to?
Whether you want to use the podium or were you comfortable with, or?
Yeah, sounds right.
Okay. Lee, you want to give us an update on garbage and recycling collection?
That's fine.
Good idea.
Okay, now that I realize you've got physical activities, now that you've got your mental.
Exactly. Now that that's on. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me and thanks for giving me the time. I'm here because I see that West Grey, or all municipalities really, are facing a mountain of trash and garbage, and I would like to help. I know a lot of people, I know quite a few people who would like to help also, and I think there are a lot of people out there who don't know yet that they should help, and that I think they will help. I'm just going to read the first bit because so I don't forget anything. Sustainability has become an absolute necessity in a world with a population of 7 billion and growing. Materials have to be as much as possible natural and therefore compostable, biodegradable, or they have to be at least recyclable. The pressure on municipalities to deal with mountains of trash should be turned back onto consumers, as in being more responsible recyclers, and very much onto the producers through producer responsibility, for example, as packaging, recyclable, biodegradable packaging, take backs of entire products or at least parts for recycling. That is being done by a lot of companies and it's getting better. Recycling habits are still nowhere where they could be, leaving lots of room for improvement and waste reduction. After years of observation and hands-on sorting for other people, I will venture to say that we can greatly cut the actual garbage, like in a waste bag, the actual garbage that no one can recycle at this point, that we could reduce this number possibly by 90%. Okay, that's shocking, excitingly shocking, but the amount of recyclables still in the garbage bags at the landfill are stunning. And a lot of the bags look like there is no recycling program. And you will find batteries, bottles, plastic, paper, household cleaners, you name it, it's still in the bags. So, you know, I know for a fact we can do a whole lot better. So another item would be composting could reduce the waste mountain by a great amount and eliminate leaching and odor. I'm a great composter, believer in composting, and I know it can be done in a very amazing way. After careful recycling and void of compostables, as a landfill should really not smell or produce any methane, because all the methane is created by natural substance. So that would rule out any waste to energy projects. Now, soft plastic amounts are huge in the bags, and because products are packaged and there's a lot of shopping bags and all that. So soft plastic recycling would be one of the first things to tackle soon. Hanover and Brockton have introduced it recently. So I think, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of it, and I know you probably have looked into it, but I know, like, without the soft plastic, the garbage bags are a lot lighter or less full. Diligent recycling ideally would only leave waste which holds little or no burn value, or materials which really should never be burned. One part of sustainability is about using, reusing, and returning materials to nature as much as possible. Burning not only puts pollutants in the air, it destroys the material forever and possibly leaves some toxic waste behind. It's a one-way ticket for materials, and it's a sad, it's the last option, really, the very, very last option. Okay, now I quickly want to say, a few years ago I became aware of the Meaford fish fry. I don't know if anybody's ever been. There's a few hundred people there, and they had mountains of trash after. Now, one councillor, and I hate to say that, but I forgot her name, one councillor took that upon herself, that give me all the stuff, once everybody's done eating, give me all the stuff. She had a table, they sorted everything back out, they did the recycling, they did everything, she put it all back together, they put it in the bag. They had one bag of garbage, one. Okay, so this thing has been rattling around in my head for years now, and I started to pay more attention, and I have seen, I would say, if they would have used biodegradable products all the way through, like the cutlery would have been biodegradable, I would say they would have had no garbage, possibly. So, and my mind went over to the rodeo, for example. Holstein Rodeo is the biggest mess I think I have ever seen. And the garbage is atrocious. There's roll-up bins and everything's mixed together, compostables and everything. So now again, if you took all this stuff at the source, you had it sorted out, I would say there would be almost no garbage. Unless people brought it in, brought sleeping bags and whatever else they leave behind, sure, that would be a problem. But all the organization waste could be brought down to zero or close to zero. So what I'm trying to say is we can do a whole lot better with just recycling business. So I just want to say my garbage, I did not really pay attention when I started, for example, but I think I'm into 3 weeks. I started taking out all the soft plastic for a few years ago, and I have been piling them up until they're recyclable. And so I have taken that out. So whatever is out, I'm at about 1.5 pounds right now. After, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 5 weeks, I'm not entirely sure because I didn't keep track of that. So I'm at 1.5 pounds of garbage, which is basically potato chip bags, lots of them. So that's mainly what is in my garbage. And I just want to quickly show you, there's a few questionable things that I want to find out if they're actually recyclable. You know, there's tea wrappers and there's straws and there's a tape cover and all that. So I don't really know if this stuff is recyclable. I recycle my vacuum cleaner bags. I cut them open. I take all the plastic bits out and then I compost all of that. I have very, very little urge now. I've come across these, which are amazing. This is 1 load of laundry detergent. And this is the packaging. It's called Dissolve. So you put this in your machine, it dissolves, it washes beautiful. I've had lots of people try it. And this is no garbage because I can put that in the recycle bin. So it's the kind of stuff, like these are dryer balls, wool dryer balls. I don't have a dryer, but you can use these for a long, long time. They fluff your laundry up and they're totally biodegradable. So on and on, most products that I buy are organic, like compostable, biodegradable. And like, not to pitch Chicory Common, but for example, they're using all biodegradable products for the cafe. And our garbage basically is, again, it's the soft plastics and the foils. And there's nothing else. So anyways, so I'm just trying to say that it's so doable, and that we would save a lot of money if we just started in the right place and never let it get to a point where it's all mixed together and it's at the landfill. So, yeah, and I know for a fact that I have a few friends who have so little garbage that I would love to bring them out to other people and talk to them, that they put out possibly 1 bag a season or even less than that. And this is with soft plastic in it. If the soft plastic would be out of there, I would say they'd get away with a bag a year, or maybe a little more. Anyways, so what I'm proposing, or what I would like you to have a look at, is a few points. And the first one would be, please add soft plastic recycling to the lineup, and the styrofoam as well. The food product styrofoam, there's lots of it. I've been looking into it a little bit. There's probably a way to do that. I know the big packaging stuff is recyclable. The small stuff for us isn't, but there's lots of it out there because a lot of food items are packaged in. Like, I would strongly encourage individuals to compost, like more and more, because the compost is just not going anywhere. It's going to sit in the landfill and cause a problem where it could be just gently, disappearing and feeding gardens and trees and everything. So there are beautiful items out there like the green comb. You're probably aware of the green comb, which is sort of a biodigester, solar, like heat biodigester, which works beautiful. A lot of cities actually are working on those. And there's a bit of a more cold weather version, which is called the Green Johanna. It's made in Sweden, and I'm researching that a little bit. They're rodent proof, and they're able to even digest bones. So that would be one thing. So really, really encourage the composting. If it never leaves the home, never leaves the garden, you don't have to worry about it. So I would love to see a recycling shed at the landfill to separate easily, like really accessible and easily, and it's very, very clear where everything goes so that people have no more reason to just pack it all in the bag and think it's done and over with. By the way, really, really simple. Encourage that. And it actually could be a very satisfying thing for people to do, to know that this is going to be separated, it's going to be recycled, and it's not going to build up in the landfill. So I'd love to see a few volunteers join your waste committee and with some brainstorming about how to get people more interested in the recycling and all that. I would say that we could do some research. I would totally volunteer many hours of research for every single item that we use and have to get rid of. Find a way, are they recyclable, where are they recyclable, what could we do, and what could we do to replace it? So, towards the, I'm not saying zero waste because we're a long way off, but very little waste. So a few volunteers that would brainstorm for good ideas, how to organize more education on waste reduction, explore incentives for better recycling practice. And and within that I have a few ideas already. I was thinking contest or possibly a lottery, and I have had a person was willing to donate quite a nice amount of money for a contest or a lottery that might encourage people more to recycle. So that's about it. And I really thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much, Lori. And I'm going to ask for questions. I did this my best. If you could entertain a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
Councillor Hutchison, go ahead.
First, I'd like to say I have a lot of similar interests to what you've already said, and we do have a committee on our council right now that's looking at our waste management and looking at our costs and whatnot. And as far as the film and plastic, I've already looked into that because I realized Hannibal Rockland does have a film and plastic recycling system. So we're looking at that, and we are looking at our costs and open to some ideas, and I agree the composting can cut down on some of our waste and so on. So I think your points are well taken, and we are making some progress, and I have an interest, and maybe we can make a connection somewhere, and maybe get that committee going outside of the one we have right now, but maybe feed into our committee. But I agree, you have some good points, and it's not an easy thing to solve. The amount of waste that we have. Part of it has to do with convenience, part of it has to do with laziness, but it's out there, and it is an issue. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. It is a huge issue when you see the amount of garbage that goes in the landfill, and that could be reduced down to so little. It is huge, and somehow to make people realize that that's what's happening, that the landfills are running out of space, and in great part because there's no recycling or composting going on. And I think somehow to appeal to the pride maybe of people, or because it will be really hard to find any new landfills, that, and all that. Somehow to get it through to people that it's not hard, it's just a matter of keeping things separate.
Can I ask a question?
I'm going to take Deputy Mayor Bell first.
Thank you, Dorley. Thank you very much for your presentation. Great. I know you've been ad hoc for conservation for a long time. Quick question. The compost units that you spoke about, you said they're rodent proof.
Yeah.
Okay, where would you get them and how much do they cost? Any idea on that?
Well, I was kind of hoping you would ask that. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I know they're available in Canada, and they're actually Canadian made, the green cone is.
That's what I was interested in, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's very far away. Some websites, I can't tell where things are actually situated.
Well, maybe if you could get that information for us, it might be something we can promote to the people through a newsletter, a little blurb in our newsletter sometimes, so I was just asking about that.
Yeah, well, the green cone, the green was around $134, I think, and supposed to for sure last 20 years.
Okay.
And you know what, like, further in my mind, I went into when this is sort of a small size and can digest about 2 pounds of food, of scraps every day, which is sort of an average family's demand, to possibly create, build a bigger one, build a more communal whatever, and all they really need is they need the heat from the sun.
Yes.
And then they don't really leach anything out of there, so it is quite a fine contraption, and maybe there could be more done.
Yeah, throw some wood shavings in if you have to once in a while or something, yeah, you can carve the source, so yeah, okay, thank you.
Very good. You must have caught me at a bad time. It's very rarely do I do this, but I am going to take a question from the crowd.
Thank you. It's about composting.
Yes.
And there are 2 things. I think one is composting at home, where you can get your composters. But when you mention things the township is looking at, is one of them having the composting system where I have a green bin and I put all my compost in there and it gets collected with my garbage and my recyclables. Is that one of the things that's been looked at? Because I know some municipalities do that and it really cuts down.
We haven't talked about that yet, but I mean, we're looking at all options, so we definitely should look at that as an option.
And my son lives in Kitchener and they went to that, and they're not a family that, they used to have lots of garbage and now they have hardly any, because almost everything goes into that composter. I know there's a cost, but I just wondered if we were looking at it.
Bev?
This committee that has just been formed is new, but previous to that, in years past, we have looked at having a compost system at the landfill site. Unfortunately, the Ministry of the Environment, who is the one that licenses landfills and does a lot of the overseeing for landfills, makes it very difficult to, it's surprising, but the truth, extremely difficult to improve your landfill and your what you accept and what you don't accept and how you expand and how you don't expand. So there's a lot of criteria that goes into doing something like composting. It's not a matter of the municipality saying, this is a great idea, let's do this. Build a concrete pad, put it here, we'll take care of it. No. It's a big, long process. And so when you hear people say, well, the municipality doesn't do that, quite often it's because the MOE has put so many roadblocks up to help municipalities to try to improve things like recycling, et cetera, that it becomes almost a daunting task and costly. So there are other factors in it other than just, well, let's think about composting. It gets to be a huge, and I'm not saying you don't look at it, I'm just saying it's not something you can start next week. What's the process? Maybe a year, maybe
It'd be at least 6 to 8 months to get a C of A amendment.
Yes, you have to get a certificate of approval amendment from the MOE, and that alone is a daunting task. It's costly, engineered, blah blah blah. There's all this stuff. It's typical provincial, so it isn't as simple as all that. And we have looked into it, and we will continue to look into things and try to improve, but it's not quite that easy, unfortunately.
And as you said, Dorothy, if I could, we have made some improvements. We have at our landfills electronics. We have styrofoam collection. We're looking at hopefully being able to get well, we do bail wrap.
As I'm saying, now we do it.
Expanding into hazardous waste There's a kind of a mobile unit that one of our other municipalities is kind of pilot projects, and it looks like MOE is leaning towards, oh, that might be a good idea. Strangely, one of the things a few years ago when we were even looking at incineration here was one of the things that we looked at. And Carol will remember this from the Minister of Environment that day, was that there was no way the province was going to look at anything like that. Because once it gets into the air, you never know where it's going. If it's in the ground, we know we're okay. It's in the ground.
Unbelievable.
Well, didn't say any more. I think I got up and said thank you to the minister and left from that day. It's breaking down, and as you said, moving, getting that to just bury it and it's out of the way and gone, to getting a whole different mindset working with it. I drive down the road every day and I see, you know, pop cans. Maybe there's some other aluminum cans that some breweries might make out there that you find inside the road, and even at that you go, why are people doing that? You know, there's 10, you know, beer bottles, it's 20 cents, it's, where do we, you know, I guess part of it is the education, as you've said, on, you know, there's a better way of doing this, people, you know, and leaving this land in a lot better position for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what I'm trying to address, is that, like, how are we going to get people to actually say, how are you going to overlook the recycling? Like, say, I would run the right, I would be at the landfill, and I would ask people to, you know, like, let's have a look, and let's sort this out, and let's, you know, we'll show you how to really do that, and then you feel better and everybody else feels better, and we'll have hardly any garbage, and we won't even really have to bury it because there will be almost nothing left. So this is sort of the big question, is how can you oversee it a little better, but not in a negative way, make people afraid of, you know, going to the landfill or something, or starting to bury it or whatever, but to really show them how the difference between a pile like this, that's a stinking mess, to a pile like this, that is clean and you know, it's just not reusable at this point. How can you do that? Like with an infomercial, with I don't know, a tour at the landfill or something like that. Really show people. There's nothing left. Like if you really recycle and take everything out of there, there is not really anything left. So I mean, for all of us, you know, just look through the bag again and see what's in there. I did, because after I thought, oh yeah, I want to talk to you. What does my garbage look like these days? And I had a few items in there that I could clean off a bit. So we all keep running better.
I hope that you know, as we're going forward, new council and committees, as Councillor Hutchison said and Councillor Cuddy, we do have a waste management subcommittee, or we just call it a garbage committee.
Dump people.
Dump people. We have that committee in place to start, you know, has done some good work in the past. Is the job complete? Far from it. I agree with you. We need to keep going with it. And I hope that, you know, we can engage yourself and a few others that and harness some of your passion and put it forward and pull us further, maybe out of the 19th century and into the 20th century before we get further. But I just with that. But you will be on our list to look for new and innovative ideas in education. So thank you very much. You did. And it looks like we're going to have a little bit of an exit. Does someone want to take a few-minute break? We've been at this for a couple of hours, and we'll come back with Jerry's direction. We'll take just a slight recess, stretch those legs, do an environmental scan. Okay. That'll bring us down then. That's the end of delegation.
Sorry.
Bring us down business from the previous meeting. I believe that we have any. else has anything? Staff reports, Director of Finance. Carrie is with us here this evening. And Carrie, of your first report is the vouchers, number 5 of 215. That was in your package. Is there any questions, comments on any of those numbers that are there? So then I'll introduce. Motion then moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 5, 2015 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $2,608,130.32. Any questions, comments on this? Just like to say to everybody out there, $2.6 million. It didn't have, we weren't using that much propane to thaw the pipes. There's still a number of frozen pipes, but that is mostly our transfers to the county, our quarterly county and school board tax levy transfers as well too that's in there. So it's a rather large number when you start looking at those two accounts. So there's no other questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right, the next one, Carrie, is your report on, or I guess just comments on the budget. Coming for giving notice. That we'll have that presented, notice of motion for the presentation on April the 6th. Any further comments on that, Carrie, at this point in time?
We'll have all the summaries ready for the April 6th meeting.
Okay. Mr. Bell. John?
Yeah, and going forward, there's a couple that aren't in there that we haven't seen yet, right? There's 2 or 3 things that have to be fixed up in the meantime. Carrie, one is on the fireboard rate. That hasn't been rectified, simplified yet.
We have our budget number that we've put in. Should it change after, you'll need to deal with that. We've got a number in for the Parks Committee, even though they haven't finalized their budget. If it should change from the number, then council will need to deal with that if they decide to modify their budget afterwards.
Okay, Bev?
We do have an Elmwood Fire Board meeting on Thursday, and the last Parks Committee meeting was canceled. It was supposed to deal with budget, but the chair had the flu, so unfortunately it was canceled. There has not been one rescheduled. There will be shortly, but until we can get that settled, we haven't met again to finalize it, but I don't see a difference really.
Should we have that meeting before we finalize the budget?
We can try.
I think it'd be a good idea. I don't like passing stuff down with money unless we know what the price is, that's all.
Right now, the price is what you've set it at. They need to ask for a change if they...
But we just haven't seen those final figures, I guess.
Yeah, whether they can meet in the next couple of weeks.
I was like trusting everybody, but I just, for the sake of transparency, I guess I just like to make sure those numbers are.
Okay. Okay. We'll be a little more firming up or confirmation on the numbers that were in the budget, Carrie. Hopefully, as I said, Bev is able to confirm, or I guess the biggest thing is if there would be questions at the April 6th on those numbers. So just giving you a heads up, come prepared. Be the chair of those 2 committees or council representative.
Yeah. Do your best.
All right. Anything else then on the budget? We look forward then, Carrie, to that coming forward. The next thing that Carrie has there is our council remuneration for the month and to date, just there for information. comments? This is just there for information. Okay. Anything else you want to share with us, Carrie? No? Not been on holidays this week, working on that can? That was 2 weeks ago now. Okay, all right, thank you very much, Carrie. Down to Public Works, infrastructure. Excuse me, Ken. The annual drinking water reports from Durham and Newstead were in our package. The really good thing about that is that, and something we always like to see is no on those reports. Anything further on that?
Just the two systems are operating very well. You'll have a note in the Durham system that the high volume of water that went through that was pumped back last April was quite significant. And then also in the Newstead systems, the capacity that's remaining there, I believe we're only at 13.5% of the capacity. So it's certainly room for expansion in Newstead whenever we make it happen. So, but both systems are operating very well. The inspection reports that were done by the MOE last spring were positive, and everything seems to move very well.
Good working relationship with our contractor.
Yes, we do.
American Water is a good company to work with and a good partner for us. Okay. Durham Ag Society is the next one, Ken. Their annual excavator operator Olympics or competition, however they want to say it, has grown, I think, very much. And we've got the request in here. Anything else you want to comment on it before I get to
just that they're getting ahead this year, trying to finalize some of their activities for the Durham Fall Fair, and I think the last 2 years they've had the excavator operator competition on the west side of the Durham Arena. I think it's getting bigger and better every year, so they just wanted to make sure that seeking council's support for the 2015 Fall Fair excavator. I guess they also touched on the bleachers there, but I believe the soccer club probably owned the bleachers at the soccer field.
I think some of them were from the, there might have been some from the soccer field, but there were some from the ball islands as
Was
well
that
too.
the bleachers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from the soccer club.
They're owned by the soccer club.
Oh, but they came from there and they had to ask permission from the soccer club.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mention in the report here, but I'll
Yeah, I'm not sure we own.
I'll touch on the letter if it's okay with council. I'll send a letter back and say that I'll get in touch with the soccer club. So.
Carol?
Sure, I have a motion here with regard to using that land, but I don't think it's quite worded right. If you read their letter, they don't use the parking lot, they use the land west of the parking lot, and that's what their letter says. But the motion says to use the west side of the Durham District Community Center parking lot. We do not use the parking lot, we use the land to the west of the parking lot. So I wonder, change this to...
If you're in your hands, you've got it. Go ahead. Yeah, I think you're right as well too. Land to the west of the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's where they
Use the...
land to the west.
The arena parking lot there.
To the west.
The west side, yeah.
Okay, I have a motion Diane, moved by Carol Lawrence, second by Beth Cutting. Resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the request from the Durham Agriculture Society to use the land to the west side of Durham District Community Center parking lot for the excavator operator competition during the 2015 Durham Fall Fair. Any questions or comments on this? I was talking to one of the chair of this part of the committee just last week, and it seems that the next closest competition is in Huntsville. The Huntsville Fall Fair has one as well too, and it is something that is one of those things that's really taken off, and they've found people coming to this, operators coming to this one last year from 100 miles away that have started to hear about it and are getting excited to it. So interesting how something you never really think about all of a sudden takes off and becomes a national event. So I don't know whether we're going to have the national championships here or whether we'll go international, just skip the national. Doug?
So it just seems something reminds me a little bit of the old truck rodeos they used to have around. I don't know if they still do that or not, like some of the different part of highways used to have truck rodeos. And,
yeah. Some are very similar. Speaking of truck rodeos, the West Grey operator was the champion of the Grey County truck rodeos last year.
And still have that.
Yeah, the road supervisors put it on, the Grey County road supervisors.
So, yes, Steve Wightman from Bentic Depot was won the Grey County one last year. And we don't even let him drive the truck. No, that's great. Anyways, any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Again, the next one is recycling or resurfacing proposal.
Yes, we have a proposal for the North Park Drive, Corley Drive industrial subdivision. South end of Normanby, where a developer would be willing to upfront cost of the hot mix pavement. There's 1.1 kilometers there. It would run from Grey Road 109 right around to Highway 6. North Park Drive and Corley Drive. And then the developer would ask that the total cost of the paving be paid back over a 4-year term. It's a proposal that's come forward the last week.
No, it would be, my understanding, there would be no interest on this or anything of that nature. Somewhat similar, we've had a couple of these types of offers to help out. Councilor Lawrence, Carol?
I just wondered if anyone had gone back to him with a proposal that perhaps he might share some of the costs. And it was fronting the money, but we in turn, in 4 years, would pay it totally back. Has there been any, anything go forward that maybe he might share the cost of that?
I don't believe that, that would be, we don't have anything in writing on maintenance. I believe that there was another developer when the road was built, pretty much, matter of fact, fully fronted the full part of that. So building the road and putting it on there, that was one. And it is a road that's been identified and identified that certainly needs to be, it's not going to be this year, it's going to be next year or the year down the road. And, so the developer or a concerned citizen, maybe the word developer there's not maybe correct, but concerned citizen came in and said, look, I'll put this up front and for us to get it done. So we could put in something as we do for, what I'm wondering is for ongoing with the number of developments, if there are other developments in that area. There are a couple of trucking companies there that are there existing. Do we look at that the same way we do it for gravel pit operators? That you have business there, can we look for some contribution on the maintenance of the road? Because unloaded trucks or loaded trucks, as we've heard at the Transportation Master Plan, one loaded truck at 40 ton is about 1,000 cars. I forget what the number that was in that Transportation Master Plan. It's incredible the difference that the impact of a 40-ton truck has going down the road as to just your regular vehicles. So we haven't looked that forward at this point in time, but citizens come forward, I think it'd be difficult to say, would you throw some of this in? John?
Well, real quick, going along with that thought, are there other industrial parks, in other areas that do require some contribution from the people that are in those areas? Do you know? Or have we got anything to go on with past experience from other places?
There's been a shared, like a similar type of things happened down there at North Park Drive before, where a developer paid for the cost of paving, and we paid it back over a 2-year period.
Yeah, okay. I just wondered on the ongoing maintenance idea, recognizing there are some other factories and some other heavy businesses that require a lot of trucks down there moving in to that area. Is that something we should explore? Or?
We certainly could, yeah. It's no different, or not a whole lot different than somebody connecting to a water and sewer system that's already exists. So, yeah, it's certainly.
And as the mayor said, on any aggregate proposal we have, that's kind of an automatic.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Don? Councilor Marshall?
What's the cost of the project?
Approximately $100,000. It has to be pulverized, paved, and shouldering. Also some grader work done before the pavement.
Is this in the 5-year capital plan that we?
Well, it's just more of an operations thing because it already exists, so it's.
So it wasn't on our radar to be done in the next 5 or 10 years?
It needs to be done. Like, it's certainly not, we wouldn't be doing it to just get rid of the money. It's definitely in rough shape, but actually it's starting to crumble at one intersection there, Corey Drive and Brook Park Drive, so it definitely needs attention.
It goes out to tender?
If council gives us a go-ahead, we'd have to put it up to tender, yes, for the paving, pulverizing.
This guy is in that business, some part of the business. Is proposing this?
No, not for paving.
guess I can see a lot of roads that are in desperate need of upgrading or surface treatment. The baseline Norm E, for one, is in very bad shape. Concession 12, if the county does not take that over, it needs a lot of work in there. West of, I'd say west of Fairfield 3, there's a few bad spots. You see there's quite a spot on Hot Hill up there south of 4 that is breaking out in a few spots. So I just can't see bumping a project up on the list of things we should be doing just because a developer waves a little carrot in front of our nose.
Mr. Bill?
Well, I can see your point to a certain extent, Don. I guess the terms of the agreement kind of attract me more than anything. $100,000 he's willing to put up. This road's going to have to be done in the next 5 years. He's willing to do it now. I think Ken's explained it's easier to get $25,000 a year of operations than it is to get $100,000 all at once. This area where this is going is a significant part of our, shall we say, our industrial base. And recognizing going forward, there is significant land in there and there is activity down there, which is going to bring more jobs and more taxes into the municipality. And for that reason, I think I have to support it, just because going forward, that's where the action is. And I think to make it that developers do want to go in there and put a business in there, I think we have to look after that infrastructure also. We did, there is another bylaw going through, I think, that's going to create a spot down in that area for another approximately 30 jobs in the next year or so. So this all goes part and parcel with that. But that's my reasoning for it.
Okay. So I do have a motion, moved by Johnny Bell, second by Doug Hutchinson, be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby accepts the offer from the local developer to provide in advance to West Grey the total cost of paving approximately 1.1 kilometers OPEX payment from Grey Road 109 to Corley Drive in the Randhard Industrial Park to be paid back to the developer over a 4-year term at no interest. Further discussion? Don?
I guess I'm not going to support this because I think this sort of sets a precedence that if I want my road paved, if my road is already paved and it's broken up and I want to pave again, then I'll just go to the neighbors and drum up some money from them, and we're going to get it paid back, no interest, but we're going to get paid back. So we'll just go to council with $100,000 and the condition is paid back over 4 years.
Is it
So you're going to get neighbors out there that are going to, or people on paved roads out there that are going to look at that saying, well, yeah, we're going to get a new road and it's not going to cost us anything except for a bit of interest.
Is it some money or all money? This is all money, so are you talking some money? Or
All the money.
Okay.
They're going to raise all the money for the project.
And if it
They
was,
get it paid back over 4 years.
and if it was identified by the director that it's in need and it services X amount of businesses with X amount of people working there and paying taxes into the tax base, would that make a difference or not?
You have a lot of places out there with a lot of need.
Well, I'm not going to dispute that.
And this just got bumped up on the list because they're stacking in and wait for carrots.
Well, I believe it's important to get along with local business and recognizing that fact, I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Anything else? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Ken, you have the last report there is the one for just on information on the cold weather that created a lot of cold water in February. Certainly on the Durham system, we were very fortunate. I don't know whether it is with heavier clay in Newstead or
down 7 feet.
It's down 7 feet. We haven't had any water lines freeze for the last 2 years, or that we're aware of in Newstead. So we have 80 plus residents, give or take. And, I understand we have water main, might be a water main break for a week that the boys are trying to detect.
Yeah, there's...
there are fracks again?
Yes, there's one they're trying to track down right now, so. But yeah, the works crew need a pat on the back here from Durham. They've gone above and beyond to try to keep everybody needs water by connecting to a neighbor's outside tap, or they do have a thawing machine too that's worked very well. That's, they've gone from door to door, and got a number of pipes on thaw. But it's been certainly the month of February has taken its toll on the water system. But the last week is certainly, with the milder weather, it's helped. It's slowed down the problems. But I think there was even one there last Friday that froze up, but certainly not near as critical as it was weeks of February.
Yeah. We're very hopeful that even with this warm weather that's out there, people will keep their taps turned on and running until we get the notice that the frost has gone down below the lines and the thaw has occurred. Okay. Anything else, Ken?
I have an additional, I left a report on everybody's desk there in regards to the Normanby Ayton Arena, the renovations on the washrooms. This was, I believe, tendered a year ago, and Dom Construction has informed us that they can't, the supplier for the specialized flooring that that handle the skates cannot be supplied to them. They have to go to another supplier, and the cost of the flooring is somewhat more, and it's going to add almost $2,500 to the project. But I spoke to Kerry there today about it, and with the additional $2,500, we still be within budget for the project. So it's just that they can't get the flooring that's currently there. I guess the supplier is no longer in business or whatever, I'm not sure. But it's just an additional cost for the project.
Carol?
Actually, the flooring has been discontinued.
What was that? Sorry. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, what
Go
we're
ahead.
looking for is approval by council to go ahead with this, but we have to follow up with the paperwork. We really need a change order from John's on this. However, this must be ordered tomorrow morning by 9 o'clock in order to work it in the time frame of the renovations and the tender and everything else. So that's why it's being brought tonight. And
so with the background check that the director has done, and it's going to be he's indicating that it will be within budget. So it will be just a change order, I would say, to the building committee.
no, I have to change orders are normally approved here. I think council approves change orders. They did it when we did.
Okay.
I think it would be better if we had a motion just approving that we have this additional cost.
All right.
This is absolutely through no fault of Dom's, and they are lowering the price on everything else. I mean, that,
It was
a year ago we went to tender on this, and that's pretty good.
We'll wait just for a second, Marks. So this will be going through as a direct motion then? As an addendum, we'll do it as a direct motion, sure? Okay. Anything else, John?
Oh, I'm just going to say, Councilor Lawrence, can you just go through the financial particulars of this project a wee bit, because this involves a trillion grant too, doesn't it? This project.
Yes,
And the total project is,
50 million or 50 million, sure.
No, it's not a whole new arena, Carol.
that's, the press is left.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
you're
is.
okay.
Adam's still recording, so remember that.
50,000, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure,
Through the trillion, yes.
yeah,
And the total project is
75.
75.
That's what's in the budget.
Yeah, so if we were, well, I'll put it simple, if we were to say no, we're going to lose a trillion grant on this.
Well,
Have rubber, have rubber mats running down cement or something, yeah.
yeah.
Or stone mats would.
Yeah, they would.
It'd probably be more money if we could get
Okay, we'll introduce that then as a notice of motion. One comes forward. All right. Anything else, Ken?
That's all I have this time.
Good, thank you. I think the CEO was going to have a report to us, but it didn't quite make the package.
I apologize, my illness took me out of action for a considerable period of time over the weekend, and I apologize. This was prepared and was to come to you in time for the agenda package to go out. I finished it today and checked with the clerk was the best way to put it out, and it was through an addendum, so I also included an addendum. I sent it out to council today, and I have copies of it here this evening for council to look at, your worship, in regards to the volunteer appreciation. And if the reason to expedite it is simply because the timing, volunteer appreciation week, much to my chagrin, is from April 12th to April 18th.
Okay. Oh, we'll let you do that when you get to addendums.
I'm sorry, sir, I thought you introduced it.
Bylaws are the next, I was just, your report was coming up, but it'll be under addendum.
Sir, I must admit, I'm just so keen to get in front of council. I apologize for my enthusiasm.
Yeah. I appreciate it, and I just trying to learn how to harness it here.
I will curb it for the moment, sir.
All right. Well, we'll go to try and stay with the agenda here. We'll go with the bylaws, which we have 4 on the agenda tonight. We'll hand those out. We'll go down to bylaws now. Okay, we have, as I said, 4 bylaws this evening. First one is recommended for approval. Is the McDonald McPhail severance and lot addition. And then have the motion moved by Carol Ryan, seconded by Beth Cuddy. Be resolved that bylaw number 13, 2015, being a bylaw to rezone part of Park Lot 7, Plan 500, 106 Bruce Street South, former town of Durham, McDonald / McPhail, ZA 0215, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed with the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. At the time that this was passed by the by planning, or recommended for approval by planning, we hadn't received conservation comments. Those did come in a day or so after the meeting, a week ago Monday, or a week ago today, and they have no concerns with this going forward. So that certainly didn't seem to be confirmed with a letter a few days after. Any other comments, questions on the motion or on the bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Bylaw 14. It's a bylaw to rezone some property in the industrial park, Miranda Industrial Park in Lakens Bays. I have a motion moved by John A. Bell, seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 14, 2015, being a bylaw to rezone Park Lot 31, Concession 1, former Township of Normandy, Lakens Bays, be now read a first, second, third time, passed and numbered, and the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. This was certainly recommended by planning. Committee of Adjustment. Any questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. The next one is a lot addition down in Normandy as well too, just off concession 1. One farm to another. I have a motion moved by Don B. Marshall, seconded by Beth Cutting. Be it resolved that bylaw number 15, 2015, being a bylaw to rezone lot 28, part division 1 and 2, concession 1, former Township of Normandy, Donald Plume, be now read a first, second, and third time. Passed and numbered, that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions or comments on this motion? And this was recommended by planning for approval as well too. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And the last one is a bylaw to confirm the actions of the council meeting for tonight. It's moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 16, 2015, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the March 16, 2015 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time. Passed and numbered, and the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. Thank you. New business. Any new business? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is with regard to the Mr. Wind Community Liaison Committee. The original meeting was supposed to be on the 3rd of March, and it was canceled due to weather. I guess down country our weather wasn't too bad, but so then they reset it for the 31st of March at this point, and neither Ben nor I are going to be here. We're not going anywhere together, but we're not going to be here. Adam Wright is working at getting a night that would suit everybody, but in the case that it doesn't happen, I wondered if maybe yourself or John could be appointed as a backup for that one night only, in case it is the 31st and neither one of us would be here.
So we did have one individual and then an alternate.
Yes.
What our clerk is suggesting is maybe having a second alternate in case it may happen again. So do you have a suggestion how we spell John A. Bell to put in there?
Yes, JohnabeL. I just thought somebody that's been involved, you know, talking to NextEra and so on, that
31st, I'm gonna have to bow to that one. I don't mind being the second alternate, but 31st will not work for me.
I know it's
Kind of defeats the purpose.
That's exactly
not working for
right.
anyone.
That's exactly right. I'm sorry, I don't know, we got a meeting, I'm struggling with the meeting we have on that date too.
what's your calendar?
Starts at 7?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
hopefully if we get a change of date, I can attend, but,
Or even if it's a few days later, I can go.
yeah,
It's
you'll
just
be
I
back.
can't
You'll be
be,
back. They're trying for March, but,
Well, it's not like, if it's anything else, it's not like Nextera, or this liaison committee to be on time. I've never been known to be on time, so I've been a half an hour late. How could I was just like, if you want, I could volunteer, see if I could get myself. CEO, do you know any quick ways to make it from Goderich to here in an hour and a half, 2 hours?
Not on camera, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Good answer. I have had experience, however.
We'll talk after adjournment. Thank you, sir.
But you can sign it, sort of, to get it approved.
I'll sign these.
Yeah. That'll be another addendum.
thank you.
Okay. Anything else under new business? Councillor Cuddy? Bev?
Yes, I had a meeting with Bev Burgess, who is one that has been involved in the last 2 markets at the former Rona building. She has suggested that she would like, or that group would like to try a market from May 1st till June 30th. It would include this time spring, flowers and vegetables and farmers market and baked goods and things like that. They'd also like to use the outside parking lot area, including also interior of the building to be used for different vendors, honey, maple syrup, things like that. But I would need approval from council before there's any more effort or work put into it to make sure that it's a viable option. It would be Fridays 3 till, what'd she say? Fridays 3 till 9 from May 1st. She suggested to not really put an end date on it, but sort of aim at the end of June. But if it's very successful and the building is not being used, and it could technically go right through the summer, but not to bank it at that, just keep it open. So that we can vacate in a week or say that this is the last one, but also have the option of having it open as well. 3 till 9, they're talking Fridays, because it'll be light out, I suppose. 3 till 9 and starting May 1st, which is a Friday. Yes.
Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Wasn't there a request from regarding using that building for the federal election? Did we hear any more on that? It's not called yet, so we don't know when it is.
And that's, go ahead, Mark.
Yes, there was some inquiry about that. They're looking probably in mid-October, election is forecast. We're waiting for a contract to come back. If there's a need earlier on, then they'll let us know, but they have said, if it's not available, then they'll have to make other arrangements, so. Because they're aware that, it could be sold or built on or whatever. Depending on what council decides in the future.
But being a market of that style, if we were actually going to make some good rental money, you just don't do it for a couple of weeks and have it in there. But it's in October, so it's not an issue right now. Well, they call it spring wedding, or spring wedding. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah. They call it spring election, then, then we decide that we wouldn't hold the market for a week or something. It's only 1 or 2 days, right, that they need it. So. What was it going to be?
It was going to be their election.
Oh, their headquarters.
The headquarters.
That's right. Yeah, well, in that case, then we'd have to debate it and move the market or not, or just cancel the market or whatever.
It's more September, October.
Yes. It's going to be a fall election.
Well, they were saying if it's a staff call.
It could be May.
Yeah, it could be May. Is there any business case for this or anything of that nature?
Well, they wanted to see if there was any interest in doing it. And in that case, then they can do sort of a synopsis of the last two markets with Carrie and present something if necessary. This time around, of course, there won't be the heat and the, all the stuff that kind of dragged the last market down, being only 3 weeks. And being at the coldest time of the year, I don't think it made money, but certainly the first market was not a money maker for the municipality as far as, but it was broke even, and plus the municipality made a little bit of money. But certainly it's more the interest of the community to go to a place like that, and certainly everybody enjoyed it.
John, can anybody give me an update on the frozen pipe issue and washrooms and stuff there? Or?
I don't know at this point. That's another thing we have to talk to Steve. I still think they're frozen at that south end of town.
Okay.
We would also have, get like a porta potty there, because if there's going to be outside vendors with food and like fresh vegetables and things like that, we would have an outside porta potty brought in as well.
So I guess what Bev is asking us, before we go through and working with Carrie, if it's an absolute no-go, then we don't even want to bother with that, which is where we want to see a business plan developed. We'll optimistically look that it would meet with approval with a positive business plan. Don?
I've had a discussion with a member of the BIA downtown, and they're not totally for the farmers market type idea. That's putting competition on the BI section. So I think at the very least we could give it a couple of weeks till the next council meeting, and maybe they might want to come and present their business plan. If they could wait a couple of weeks for this.
Well, if we wait a couple of weeks, it won't start May 1st. Because you've got to get everybody in there. We've got to find something.
Well, if they're coming back, they could come back on the 1st of April with that, what they had, or not first, but
It's the 6th of April.
And Carol?
Well, I just want to say that I'd like to see a business plan. I mean, it didn't quite pan out the first time around to the extent that they were projecting. And I'm not sure, I'd kind of like to know what it costs the municipality for that market. I don't believe we came out on top.
We did in the Christmas one.
Christmas
Yeah.
one.
The Christmas one was, but the last one, no, because it was only 3 weeks.
Doug?
BA has their annual meeting next Tuesday evening, so I plan to attend. They have 2 meetings actually that day, but between the other meeting and Sound, I'm going to try to make both those. So maybe that'd be a good time to, because I haven't heard anything that Don was talking about from anyone yet. Maybe there'll be something coming up with their meetings regarding a concern. I don't know. So,
Okay. All right. Sorry, Carol.
Well, I was just going to say that it's a successful farmers market. It's probably an advantage of the downtown, because you bring people in. You know, if you have a good market, you bring people in, and they may do some more business downtown. It could be an asset for downtown businesses too. If it's like a good sized market. Good variety.
Traffic. Larry.
Your Worship, I strongly encourage Ms. Burgess to meet with Carrie and put some numbers together and bring a report back to council for council's consideration. There may also be other individuals that are interested in that site that I'm not prepared to chat about at this point in time, but there may be some interest in that site as well. So it's something that we need to bring forward and discuss more openly. We need to see the bottom line figures on that, because I don't believe at any point in time any of the involvement of town personnel was ever incorporated into those costs. And I believe there needs to be some costs incorporated into that in order to justify or show the full cost of that event. That needs to be open and transparent in regards to that. So if we could work with that, I would commit to working with Bev and Carrie, bringing something back to us at the earliest possible means. Obviously, the sooner would be the better. And I do know the auditors coming in and that sort of thing, so Carrie's time might be limited. So we want to chat. So I do think it's important that we get the figures before we make any longer term commitments. In my opinion, our recommendation.
Okay.
I'll suggest that I won't meet with Gary, because I'm just bringing this as a council, you know, to see if there was approval, but I'll suggest to Bev Burgess that she meet with Carrie and work through the figures with her, and then she can present, or she can give them to me and I'll present. I don't mind doing that, but.
Okay.
Okay. And I have another new business item.
Go ahead.
There was a concern by one of the residents that there is no handicapped parking spot out front of the police station. And since the municipality owns the building and owns the parking lot, I wondered if there was a possibility, I should maybe brought it up when Kim was here, that there be one spot allotted for handicapped parking. And that's just a discussion with Ken and see what he thinks and sign it, and that's it, basically.
We will be going out for line marking and doing that, so put that in front, put it in front of Ken. Yeah, I have heard that, and I did speak to the chief the other day about it, and he thinks that there can be a spot there that's a possibility to work in. Okay.
While we're on the topic, I think that we should have one in front of our building here. I know we have one at each end of this boardwalk, but I think we should have one right at the front door, because you do see people come in and don't necessarily have wheelchairs or whatever, or use the ramp, have difficulty getting up the stairs. So the further away they are from the door, it would make it more convenient if they're closer. But I'd like to see is have one, if not two, at the front sector to make it more accessible and easier for people to get in. That's just a suggestion. They're talking about other handicap parking.
Carol.
The reason they're at either end is because there's no curb there. I mean,
Yeah,
that was planned on purpose.
Yeah, but somebody has difficulty getting around. They've got that much farther to walk, right? Like I saw a gentleman come in here the other day. He was struggling to get to walk, and so at least by being close to the door, he's only going to get up the stairs to get there, like, and rather than having to go all the way from one end to the other. I just think it makes it, and it's not for everybody, but neither are these other parking spots for everyone. It's just certain individuals. So I think it'd be just another way of accommodating people.
If I'm not mistaken, we would have those in the bylaw, Mark? Where those accessible parking places are?
Yeah.
Now, these two are in a parking lot.
On the streets.
I guess it's more, I just take a look out there. We probably won't be painting for another day or two.
No, but I just when you're talking about doing the police station, you might as well do them all at the same time.
Yep. So let's, we'll do them.
Yeah.
We certainly do the painting at the same time, which will be sometime in May. We'll get some, look towards Larry to go over that with Kim and the feasibility. So these two have been identified, and maybe if there's other spots where he's served too, whether it's in some of our other urban areas or even the downtown Durham urban area.
I think maybe it's just a matter of moving one that's here and moving it closer to the door.
Yeah. And that may be something, as Mark's just whispered in the ear, if you have that accessibility spot there, Do you have to have the accessible access for wheelchair? He signed that.
Yes, you did.
Where-
That's why it's down there.
It's not there.
Exactly why it's there.
Yeah. So we'll see the implications of it. We'll follow up with something. I'm just, trying to think. All right. More new business?
Well, I just have one more comment. There was a report given to me a few weeks ago, and I didn't bring it, so I apologize for that. But it was a report from the Durham Food Bank, which of course was involved with the 2 markets. They actually received over $900 worth of cash donations, and over 800 items were donated during the time of those markets to the Durham Food Bank. So that is really, and I will get the exact figures. I do have them. I left them in my purse, which is in the car. But it was tremendous input from the community for the food bank during the, Christmas time, etc. So there are other benefits to the market as well that benefit some of our needier residents as opposed to just, anyway.
All right, look forward to that when the report comes. Hopefully we'll have that by April the 6th. If not, we'll take
I don't know, my purse is pretty big.
Okay, you'll find it. All right, we're down to addendums, and I know Larry has a couple. And wants to introduce volunteer appreciation. I think as Larry said, this report was going to be here. He became a whole lot ill from talking to him this morning on Friday, and was not, didn't get this to us, so it's going to be under an addendum. And we have Carol's addendum. Which other one do we have?
This is addendum, it's not.
Okay, we'll do this under addendums. Very good. Addendum report. Larry, volunteer appreciation.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know this is different from what has been proposed in the past, but I was wondering if we could follow up, and I apologize for missing this last year, but volunteer appreciation is from the 12th to the 18th, 2015. So to honor and recognize our volunteers, by just recommending that we host a casual event at the Durham Community Center. Staff tentatively booked the facility for Saturday, April the 11th, with a barbecue to be catered by a local service group. To honor our volunteers for the 2015 season, requesting we have a list of whiteboards listing the volunteers and the functions that they perform throughout the year. I propose that we host a come-and-go barbecue luncheon consisting of sausages, burgers, assorted salads, beverages, with dessert. Council members could honor our volunteers by attending and assisting in the day by clearing tables, serving the volunteers, and perhaps a short speech on the virtues of all volunteers are the backbones of our communities around noon. Volunteers appointed by our December 24th appointment bylaw would be invited with the guests of their choosing. RSVP would be by April 2nd. The details will be finalized by staff pending council endorsements of the event. I realize this is not what has been done in the past. This is my thoughts on a volunteer appreciation for this year. I'm looking for council input. If it wasn't the time, and if we want to take time to go back and do it a different way, that's fine. I just put this out for council's consideration. It's something to move forward. So I look for input and direction from council on this matter.
Comments, Carol?
Well, just, I'm concerned that it's just the people in our 2015 bylaw, because we were going to do this last year, there was some time with the election and so on, but it was said at the time that our volunteers from last year that had left would be included in this. So, there were some that were long-time volunteers, and we normally would have had one last year, which we didn't. So, at that time, it was said they would be invited to the one that we had. Like I'm thinking, for instance, the Normandy Rec Committee, there was 3 longtime volunteers who didn't come back for this term. And they weren't honored last year because we didn't have this. So I just wonder about that. There's not a lot. Most of the people who volunteered in the last term are back, but there were a few. Well, the library too, actually. There's some long-term people who are out the library.
I I don't see a problem with that, of get those names to unison as far as the invitations go. She said there'd be 15 to 20.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any more than that.
Yeah. And not, I don't think Larry, when he's put it forward, to speak,
It's not my
cut in
intention
the box.
to exclude or include people. The thought was to get it before council, get some direction, because we have a cast of thousands, or we have a cast of a few. I need this input from council, but the thing is, if you wish to use this as the kind of impetus, this data, this volunteer appreciation acknowledgement, that's a national kind of undertaking. If we wish to acknowledge them during that time frame, we would need to move forward on this. If we're requesting responses by April 2nd to get numbers so that it's prepared for April. And is Saturday the right day for it? I mean, I just pitched that out. That's just.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that Saturday's going to work.
I mean, I'm familiar with doing breakfast. I'm familiar with doing come and goes in the evening. I'm familiar with doing just pizza party kind of thing. Come and go as you like. This is all volunteer recognition that's been done in other communities. There's been formal sit-downs, there's been meetings and that sort of thing. That's what I'm looking for council's direction on where they want to proceed.
Doug?
I think it's a great idea, Larry, however it comes out. My problem is I'm away that weekend, so I would be there to help, but I would propose if you were going to do it, we do it the 18th, but then it's only me that maybe has conflict, so I'm willing to help, but I'm not there that weekend.
We look to try to get it during that week, but once again, I look at Saturday, the 18th, it's already booked at the Drink Center.
Ben?
I like the idea. Over the last number of years since we started this volunteer appreciation thing, we've done everything from the black tie affair to the sit-down dinners to the hosting to just more casual. We haven't done this, so I think it's a nice new idea. There are some problems with the poster, just some spellings and things like that, so make sure this doesn't go out. Yeah, I think it's a nice idea, and I think Saturday from 11:30 till the time you closed is good.
Rob?
Just for Councilor Cuddy, when is the park cleanup this year?
When is what?
The park cleanups? It's on that day, we'll have a lot of people. I did see it somewhere, and I can't remember.
I don't have, that's a good point. I don't have it here, but April 11th seems very early. I would think it's more...
It's the week before it's Easter, and then we normally do the park cleanup.
Easter's early though. Like it's
Yeah, Easter's really early. I don't have it in here.
First weekend of April is Easter, then the following week would be this, and then I seen somewhere there was an announcement on the park cleanup, and I haven't seen it. I probably steered one group to the following Saturday.
Yeah, I don't have that in here, which is interesting because I usually do. I don't know.
I got your cleanup day.
What day you got?
May 2nd.
May 2nd, Easter weekend?
May.
Sorry.
Yeah, we usually push it into May. April's pretty early for
That's
anything like that.
That's Riceville
cleanup.
Yeah, usually we do ours in April.
Oh.
We do ours in April, usually the first part of April. But however, as I said, I can move it, or have them move it to another time.
Carol?
Well, I just sort of what Bev was saying, this is a good idea, and let's try it. If it doesn't work, we do something different next year, but then give it a try and see, what kind of crowd we get just on your wording though, Larry, I think you're missing the word "of" as a show of our appreciation.
I got this as a draft earlier today. I made some adjustments and I turned it over and I didn't get a chance to, sorry, so yes. Yeah, as a show of our appreciation, definitely.
Don?
I think it's a great idea, Larry. I was told at the library board meeting today that the Friends of the Library are being invited. Just wondering if they could be invited this year.
Councilor Norris, Carol?
Well, we've had this discussion before, and I understand where Don's coming from and what we do, but then you've also got the rec committees and subcommittees too, you know, and they're not invited, and they're actually on the bylaw. The Friends of the Library are not named on the bylaw. But I just don't know where
You have subcommittees too of parks.
Parks,
You've
yeah.
got 50, 60 volunteers that go out and work in these parks all the time and for hours and hours and hours. They're never invited, so you have to be very careful. I brought this discussion up, I think, every year, and we've grappled with it, but I think you almost have to keep it to the bylaws, because otherwise it's huge, the amount of volunteers that are in the community.
And actually, the library board could have something to honor their volunteers or friends of the library.
Which is what the parks do. The Parks Committee itself actually has a barbecue when we do the cleanups and as an appreciation. So we do that on our own because you can't, you know, this, I don't know how far it goes if you don't.
Well, you had to have a beginning point, and that's where I tried to be. So, very good discussion, and I just look for your direction. I know it's been discussed in the past. It's been discussed with my team, so I bring it to council for direction on how they wanted to proceed.
I think it's a great idea. We should do it.
Okay. Well, I think there's enough here to introduce the motion as a direct motion then. Yep, we'll do that as a direct. Good discussion. If there's anything else, we can run on the motion itself. Okay?
Sorry.
Okay.
One quick question. Is it Durham's turn? Last year we had it, okay, we're going around the circle here.
Well, it wasn't last year, but yeah, the last time we had it, we had
Because
units
that's
checked on
Centennial
that.
Hall and Newstead.
Yeah.
And so now, okay.
Yeah, it was back to Durham. Did have units checked out, it was where it should be held. Okay. We've thought about Elmwood, but that's taking it right out of the county, not just necessarily the municipality. Community center. Okay. All right. Then we're down to notice of motions. We have Mark, the direct motions. We have 3. I'll need a 2/3 majority to introduce the 3 direct motions. One on volunteers, one on the community liaison committee, and then the 3rd one is on the flooring. All those in favor of introducing the director notice of motion? Any opposed? Got everybody on that? Mark, there's motions. Got 3 of them.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, the first notice motion I have is on the second alternate for the Eastern Wind Liaison Committee. The motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Beth Cuddy. Be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Westbury hereby appoints Mayor Ackles as the second alternate on the East Durham Wind Energy Center Community Liaison Committee. Any comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried 6-1.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if that could be relayed to Adam Wright.
Adam Wright?
Yes, that's who's running the,
Okay.
yeah, not next year, but the group that's running the CLC.
Yeah, from
Aecon
Aecon?
or something?
Yeah. No, probably next year is all you've been notified.
Yeah, and they already know.
Not yet. Yeah, we'll follow that through. Mark will follow that through. The next one is on the change order for the Normanby Arena washroom project. I have a motion moved by Doug Hutchison and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves an additional $2,494 for the skate-resistant flooring for the Normanby Arena washroom renovations as tendered by the Dom Construction Limited, required due to the discontinuation of the original skate-resistant flooring contained in the tender.
Could I make an amendment? Should be 2494 plus HST.
Okay. Mover and seconder, fine with that?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The third one is the volunteer appreciation date. I have a motion moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby endorses the volunteer appreciation barbecue to be held April 11th, 2015 from 11:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. at the Durham Community Center as referenced in the addendum report RC 316 2015. And Mark has it in the minutes about some of the 2014, expanding that list, not just for the 2014 notification. And some of those ones that were from the year before to be invited. Any further questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. That's it for notice of motion or direct motions, Mark? Yes. Oh, I don't believe we have any closed session. Question period. Anybody have any questions out there? Mr. Black, you know the routine, so I don't need to explain it to you.
I don't have any questions. I certainly don't have any complaints. I would just like to compliment the municipality on the great road service we get in wintertime. And I think the Saugeen River looks to be in pretty good shape up our way for this time of year and after this much frost, but I don't know whether there's some ice upstream waiting to come down our way or not. And I guess it didn't occur to me when I was leaving home that we were so close to the Irishman's Day, and I might have anticipated seeing some green around the table or to put on my class. But anyway, I do have a little bit of a mission, and I've been learning how to play the fiddle since I left council.
Oh, really?
I brought a flyer out here that maybe somebody would put up in the entranceway somewhere. It's a concert that's been put on in support of Center Grey Hospital in May, and it's at Anson Church in Markdale. I have some tickets here. I might leave with somebody here for a few weeks, and anybody would like to go. I own the tickets, so I bought it once this morning. It just came out. So that's what it's about. So.
When is it? When is the date, John?
May 9th.
May the 9th, Saturday evening.
Mother's Day weekend concert.
Yeah. At Ansley Church in Markdale. They were negotiating the Grey Highlands High School, but that didn't work out, so.
Really, that's too bad.
You know
How many tickets are in?
Yeah, it is right there, 10.
What's the cost of the tickets, John?
I'll just leave it.
We're seeing that, Mark.
Staff note too.
Nice job on both.
Nice poster.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty sure we
are you
can
saying
find
it's the new generation? Are you the new generation Leahy, or are you still the old black from the mill?
I'm just the old man. No, it's some of the younger generations, the Leahy family. It's one of our daughters is married in there, and it's them and their kids that are playing along with my companions. That's what it's about. It's a fundraiser for the equipment for the hospital.
Nice.
That's the story. Anyway, that's my story, and I'll just leave it with you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Very good. We will make sure that gets up, and nice seeing you again, sir. Always a pleasure to have your presence here in the chamber.
Very good.
Makes us watch our P's and Q's when you're here. We watch our P's and Q's when you're here because you can take us to task.
Well, I wouldn't do anything.
No, of course not.
I just want to see what's going on.
Yes.
Or hear what's going on. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
John.
Thanks, John.
And that's it for question period. One municipal act notice that's there for the 2015 proposed budget will be confirmed at that public meeting on April the 6th at our council meeting. I'm certain that it'll be on at 10 o'clock in the morning, but that's when council starts, so that will be when the council is there. And I don't think we have anything else, Mark. We're just a few minutes behind the schedule, but it's okay. I need one more motion. Councillor Cuddy? Councillor Cuddy moves that we adjourn. Moves number 19. Thank you very much.
I didn't even know where it is.
This is going to be a 4-year period. We've got to educate her on this.
No, I think
We
I'll
stand
just
adjourned.
pass this